Welcome back. Ooh, sorry. Something happened with my eye. Ooh. Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jambert. First four segments, we talked about NBA, talked about NBA semis, recapped some of the games from this weekend, preview the games for tonight, and the NBA lottery tonight. Talked about that. Segment four, last segment, talked about the mini camp, some news coming out of there. This segment number 5, the final one, we're talking about Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals. So, Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals. What's going on over there? So, they have officially cut off contract talks. Sorry, they're done. They said, they were debating. There was contract, disputes, struggles between the two, and the Bengals have now officially said, no, we're not. We're done. We're not going to deal with this. And basically, that means they told him, go find a new team. They're not signing him to a new big deal. So, why? Why is that the situation? Why would they stop that? Trey Hendrickson is one of the best defensive ends in the NFL. Honestly, he's a great player. But, from Hendrickson, what he's been saying is the Bengals are offering deals to him that, and I quote, he did not reflect the visions that they shared and that were promised. So basically, the Bengals are promised him probably a hefty new contract, a really good deal. And he should. He's one of the best DNs in the NFL. And plus, the Bengals aren't a very defensive heavy team. They're not. They're offense heavy, and it's very noticeable. And they just signed Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to max deals. They franchise tag T. Higgins again because they love doing that. So they don't want to re-sign Trey Hendrickson to a big deal when they're focused on offense, which is not going to win them championships and never will. So that's interesting play by them. They should be looking to re-sign him to a contract. That doesn't got to be a huge one, but just a contract to keep on the team. He is their corner. He is their anchor on defense. He is their defensive player. Everybody knows this. But, why won't they? He's a phenomenal player. Why wouldn't they want to re-sign him? Because, I'm not sure. People believe it's because he's getting older when he's only 30 years old. So he's still got, plenty of gas left in the tank. And, he's a great player. He had 17 and a half sacks last year. He was an all-pro team, all-pro player by the Associated Press. He is a phenomenal player. I'm not really sure why they wouldn't. Like I said, he's made the Pro Bowl every year. Each year he's been in Cincinnati, which is 4. And when he was signed, when he signed a contract with them 4 years ago, it was a 4-year, $60 million contract. And now he probably wants another 2 or 3 year deal for probably, I'd say around maybe the same amount, maybe $50, $60 million because he's just that good of a player. But the Bengals don't want to re-sign that. They don't want to be a part of that, which I think is kind of insane considering how good of a player he is. Hendrickson is, like I said, so many times one of the best defensive players in the NFL. Great DN. It's kind of crazy that he's not even the best DN in his own division. Myles Garrett, the best. He's the best. He's better than TJ Watt. I'll say that. TJ Watt is not better than Myles Garrett, and I'll stand by that. But, I still don't understand why they wouldn't want to re-sign him. I guess unless he's asking for an absurd amount, I would give it to him. He is just that good of a player, and he's their only good player on defense. Their defense really just isn't heavy. They're not a good defense, so re-signing him would be the best thing to do. But whatever. That's just how it is. And even the Bengals, I guess, like the coaching staff, they don't really know what's happening either. On Friday, Coach Zach Taylor for the Bengals, when asked about it, he didn't know. He didn't know anything that was going on. So he didn't know what's the situation going on over there. And Hendrickson this season alone is he's expected to earn $16 million from base pay, and it's his final year. So all this is coming to light because him on the Pat McAfee show, which Pat McAfee just brings out the greatest in everybody. He just brings out brings out the best in everybody, and they tend to spill a lot of stuff on there. So he wants to he's not. Trey Hendrickson has said he's not trying to become, the highest paid, defensive end in the NFL. He doesn't want that. He just wants to keep playing for the Bengals, and he just wants them to, re-sign him, which is that's fair. They don't gotta pay him a gajillion dollars. Sign up for another 2 year deal, $15 million deal, like a 2 year, $15 million. If that's what he's willing to offer, I'd be very surprised if the Bengals are saying no to that. I'd be very surprised. He's a great player. So I'm surprised they wouldn't want to re-sign him for, a hefty amount. Like, it's not even that hefty, 15 million. That's not a lot. If you really think about it, 15 million for an NFL team is not that much money. They're paying these guys max contracts. They just signed Jamar Chase to a $161 million contract. Joe Burrow, I think it's like 230 million, 215 million. I mean, they have money though. They have money. And they just, if they don't want to use it on, a guy like Hendrickson, well, he can just go walk. I mean, some team will pick him up. He is still a great player. Imagine though the Steelers don't get him, or another defensive heavy team adding to adding another great edge rusher to their roster. I mean, or DN, whatever. The Bengals have him kind of switched around here and there. So, but he's a great player. He just does whatever he has to help the Bengals win games, and he is their cornerstone of their defense. He is their best player. So at the end of the day, they should re-sign him at the end of the season, for another, I'd say 2-3 year deal, $15 to $20 million, and leave it there. I mean, it's not that much. They have money to spend, so why not? But they're losing a great player if they choose not to re-sign him. It would be absolutely just not a good idea to not re-sign him. He's just that good of a player. But at the end of the day, I'm not the GM of the Bengals, so yeah, I mean, don't ask. I'm not the GM, so I really wouldn't know what's right to do. But that's my opinion. I think, re-signing him would be the best thing for them. But will they do it? Who knows? I'm not the GM, but if they were smart, I do believe they would, or he will go walk to a team that is willing to pay him a lot of money. And honestly, go for it. If you're gonna get paid, let's say let's say the Niners go and get him for 3 years, $30 million, $40 million. Yeah, go. I mean, unless the Bengals are gonna match that, I mean, go. Get out of there. The Bengals really, I wouldn't say they're not going anywhere, but last year they had to crawl their way up back through the regular season, and they didn't make the playoffs. They started off poorly, and they had to crawl their way back, and they lost. And they won that final game. Whoever the final game, I think it was the Browns. They beat the Browns, but they needed the Chiefs to win, and the Chiefs sat everybody, and so they lost because the Chiefs didn't play anybody. And if they want to not be in the situation, you want a guy to anchor on your defense, be your defensive, the heart of your team on the defensive side of the ball. Re-sign him so you're not in spots like that. Keep him available, keep him on your team, so something like that doesn't happen again. But like I said, let's say he walks, they have nobody on defense. I believe Eli Apple is still there. That's probably their other big name player, I guess, but he's not that good. So, and yeah, they made it to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but they didn't win, did they? They have never won an NFL Super Bowl championship, whatever. I don't think they ever won a championship either, when that was a thing. I don't think they never won a Super Bowl. And if you don't, get defensive players like Hendrickson or other, guys available, you're not going to win a game. You're not going to win the big one. You just never will. So they should re-sign him, but will they? I doubt it, because the Bengals just are so heavy on the offensive side of the ball. They just don't care enough about their defense. And they need to come and realize that if we're not going to send anybody on defense, we're never going to we'll never win a championship. We'll never win the Super Bowl, never get the Lombardi, and we'll just be kind of mid for a while. So they should re-sign him, but will they? Probably not. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. Your continuous support really means the world, so please feel free to like, comment, and share it to anybody you know. If you want to stay up to date with all things GSMC, make sure to follow us on all of our social media, with that including, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter/X, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever. If there's social media, get on there, search GSMC Sports Network, and hit us with a follow and turn on those notifications to stay up to date. But like I said, thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Have a good one.
go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to